Collective, what is going on? Welcome into the channel. So happy to have you here always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we're going to look at the energy for the next few days via the tarot, astrology, and any channeled messages that come through. So let's get into it. I had originally recorded this yesterday, but it didn't make it up. And I didn't have time to re-record. I had issues with recording and blah, 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 and all that stuff. So this will be just like a mini week-ish overview for the next week. I think it's important to highlight we're in Aries season right now, and we're coming up on a new moon in Aries. And there's been a lot that's been going on. There's a lot that we're closing out. There's a lot that we're transitioning behind, or around, I should say. Mercury and Venus are in retrograde. So it's really highlighting relationships and dynamic situations, essential partnerships that we make in our life, right? And how they are either helping or hindering our movement and, connecting with the desires of our heart, what we want our life to be like, how we want to live, etc. And it's not all easy. It's not all hunky-dory. Some of this stuff is really painful and really difficult. But moving into Aries season, we've had this opportunity to use it as our empowerment, as our strength to overcome some of the harder things, right? And with this new moon, it's a solar eclipse. So solar eclipse bring change, external change, specifically change in your environment, where you're starting to believe in yourself, right? So I see this discrepancy, I'm gonna make these changes, and then I'm gonna go out and actually live that in my life. And that's where we see these changes start to happen. People, situations naturally fall away, or new opportunities come in that bring us in a different direction. So exciting, right? And Aries season is the first of the zodiac wheel. So it's the opportunity to start a new cycle over again. And that starts with investment in self, how we treat ourselves, what we allow ourselves, what we think we deserve, all that fun stuff. So that's why I like to start off with an energy cleansing, just kind of set the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleanse out some of the limitation that we might be running into. If it's not your vibe, you can totally skip ahead. No pressure. You'll still receive the blessing. All right. And you can also use it as an opportunity to set your own intention, right? Especially if you come into this with something on your heart, something on your mind, something you would like spirit to deliver messages to you around. Definitely give that over. Be open to receive. I also do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing and wellness services. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, what's happening specifically around dynamics for you, or if you're just looking for more of a realignment with mind, body, soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. When we're in that space of grounding and, aligned within ourselves, we make choices that actually lead towards our happiness and fulfillment. We connect with people, situations that are going to enliven that within us, right? And so we're leading a good life, right? And we all deserve that. We all deserve that. Sometimes we get a little out of balance, right? It's easy to do modern day. All right, but if you're interested in my services, definitely hit me up. I would love to help and support in whatever way possible. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, collective, let's get into it. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so we may see and understand the messages clearly and help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit Guides, Guardian Angels, Mama Love. Mama Love. All right. So mini read, it's an interesting week. There's a lot of really supportive energy, which I'm loving. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about, where we're starting to feel more confident, more courageous, especially around the things where there are disconnects, where it's just not vibing with us anymore. We're starting to get the courage to say, this doesn't work for me, or I'm going to be looking at choosing different options that better fit my vibe. And there's a lot of support to do that. I think Mars has been weirdly tensely aspected for a minute. If you remember, we were in Mars retrograde before Venus, and 100%. It's like, it's forcing us to slow down, but it's forcing us to slow down in this way that we have to know who we're getting into bed with, so to speak, right? Like who and what we're actually inviting into our environment. Because whatever this is dealing with for you, you have an air of innocence, you have an air of naivete that needs to be protected from people, from situations that are trying to take advantage of that. And I feel honestly, there's something that like you've actually attracted a lot of people who have used certain character traits, qualities about yourself against you. And in a weird way, it like brought a lot of attention to yourself or around this, whatever this is dealing with. But now that you're changing, now that you're shifting who and what you're giving time and energy to, it's almost like you're not as popular. And it's not even like, I'm not hearing popularity contests, but I'm hearing this more just like within your day-to-day, your community, your friends. I feel like a lot of that is changing is what I'm getting at. And I feel like because there have been a lot of hidden enemies. We've been seeing this all across the collective, not only in the astrology, Pluto moving into Aquarius, giving us opportunity to set the stage for the next couple decades. But there's just this energy of like needing necessity for change. I wanted to say necessary for change. But, this value that we really have to commit. Like if we say we want these things then, and I see you doing that, I see you making positive changes, but I feel like it's been a little bit cumbersome, or maybe you feel like you've had to wait a lot lately. Maybe you feel like there's this energy of, I thought if I did this, it was going to look like this, but instead I'm just kind of sitting here twiddling my thumbs. And this energy did come up in the reading I did yesterday. I feel like, so a lot of like what we're, waiting for change to happen, but also this value of staying committed. Sometimes the Knight of Cups can be a little bit superficial, saying all the right things, doing all the right things, but when it actually comes down to it, he has a harder time staying committed. He has a harder time staying focused on his path. He gets distracted or whatever, right? Or it becomes too difficult. And this is that value where I feel like there still are things coming to the surface, past people, past karmas that we have to deal with, that we have to pay attention to, that we continually have to weed out. There are some testings that are happening. And I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like you feel like you haven't really gotten a break. That's what it's showing. Or the break that you're getting isn't confirming the work that you're doing. It isn't giving you the thumbs up, so to speak, or the hint that like new life is on the horizon. In fact, it feels a little bit, you feel skeptical. Like, is this actually going to work out? But it's forcing you to put your attention on other things, right? It's forcing you to take time to shift the focus, not dump so much time, energy into something that's not necessarily giving back to you. You're feeling the repercussions of that, though, of these choices. These are hard choices that you have to make, but it's with the hope that the future will be better. It's not things that you're doing lightly. It's things that you're actually serious about. but it looks, the actual path to get there, yeah, 100%. It looks a little bit different than like what you had thought. And I feel like this, again, is a theme all across the board. As I was talking about before, that Mars energy has forced us to be patient, to take, but this patience for some things, for some situations in our life is taking a really long effing time, right? Like it's not just like a month. It can, for some things, it can be years. It can be a long time. And I think that that's part of where that struggle comes into play. I'm also seeing, however, that it's an opportunity to continue to refine and continue to weed out because something hasn't completely run its course yet. We've also been seeing this a lot in the collective where past karmas, especially around like Mercury, Venus retrograde, where relationships are highlighted, past karmas, past people, past relationships popping up, seeing what's going on, feeling out the energy. Are you going to let me in or not? And that's the part for you that looks to be pretty overwhelming because this has been something that people have taken advantage of in the past. And so you're in this deliberation phase of like, here's the thing. I mean, you know, I do see you stressing yourself out a lot beginning of the week. There's not a lot of action happening around us. If anything, there's a lot of support. The only way we're going to get ourselves into trouble, you know, whenever you're watching this video, is it's more about pushing ahead in the wrong direction, forcing the issue, not really listening to your instincts. That Mars tensely aspected to Chiron, making sure you're not choosing the same thing over and over and over again, if that makes sense. Like if you're always one to kind of like, this feels great and I'm just going to run with it and not process through, then maybe you need to take a step back and really kind of process through how this is going to affect you. I mean, I think that's like the energy, the lesson all across the board. And like I said, there's a lot of like things working in our favor to support that. However, Pluto, tensely aspected to Black Moon Lilith, brings in that tricky energy where we start to doubt ourselves or not believe. Or, you know, here's the thing. I'm also hearing that like you have your defenses up, you have your boundaries up, skeptical about people, about situations coming in because you are so used to dealing with people's situations that like have ulterior motives or are not giving you the time and the respect that you deserve. And so it is putting some frustration around it, right, with this desert energy as we move towards the new moon. New moon is going to be, new moon solar eclipse will be at the end of the week on Saturday, the 29th. And so, I don't know, it looks like you have more space to invest in things that you care about because you're not so required in the physical world to kind of deal with some of this stuff. This is more like mental, emotional energy is what I'm seeing. And the way the sun is tensely aspected to the vertex point as the week moves on, it's hard for our ego, right? It's hard for our ego because we want to be included. Five of Pentacles definitely has this rejection component around it. Feeling left out, feeling like people don't care about you or they don't see your value. But that's where we really have to go back within and validate our own selves, right? And this is kind of validating our own selves so that you can like believe and empower yourself to put energy into what you're really bringing into your life. But that's where it's taking a lot of strength and courage in order to make this happen. And ironically or not, new moon energy is very influenced by Mars and Venus. So again, highlighting that partnership dynamic. And all of this is worth it. That's basically what this is saying. Like, this is going to be worth it on the other end of the the other end of the spectrum, the other end of the other side, the other side. This will be worth it, but it is a little bit tricky to get there. It is a little bit of a maze, and it requires your awareness. It requires your mindfulness. There's some decisions that are coming in at the end of the week. And I feel like this is definitely, it's an either or. Which way are you going to move? And we're seeing this manifest with, let's see how this comes through. Past people, yeah, 100%. Knight of Swords. So someone who's like making plans to come see you, to come find you out, so that they can bring some clarity to a situation. I do feel like this is directly attached to this Vixen energy. Let's clarify this for you real quick. Okay. This is someone who wants to do it better this time around. This is someone who is coming with an honest and open heart. I do feel like they are trying to address some things that that happened in the situation, giving you some answers and some understanding on why things are the way that they are. How do you receive this? Okay, well, you're a little bit like, here's the thing. It looks to me like this is the first time you actually feel in control, or in like that you have some power in this situation. It feels like whatever this was, however this played out, either you felt really disempowered, or like you just weren't getting honest feedback or conversation from this person, from this dynamic. Yeah. And honestly, it's like life forced it out of them. I feel like this was something that maybe was a little bit stubborn, that like was trying to do everything by themselves. And it came back to bite them in the butt. But here's the thing, like, I also feel like the way that this has affected you has been really exhausting, really overwhelming. And so as things are coming to head, as we're seeing this climax of people, of situations kind of coming out of the woodwork, whether it's working things out or you just get more answers on a situation, on how they were, what their perspective was, etc., it is bringing you a sense of freedom. You get this sense of like, okay, now I can finally breathe again, because what I was thinking, what I was feeling, it's actually true. It's actually legit confirmation on that intuitive energy. However, it's also giving you an opportunity to reevaluate how much you want to invest in this thing. Dandelion is to become. What does it mean to you to become? Is it an experience of passive emergence, or a process of active transformation? So this is all catering to that quote unquote becoming, where we have to decide how we want to move through these dynamics, what we want to accept. Daffodil is self-love. This requires a commitment to examine what affects us, how we affect others, and how we can consciously participate in life. How do you define the difference between hubris and self-love? And I really do think this is a lot about how when we love ourselves, we're able to give love in a better, more authentic way in relationship, right? But so much of this highlighting where these toxic dynamics have been, etc., are forcing us to love ourselves more, to kind of peel away those layers as to, what is essentially blocking us from becoming the best version of ourselves, and using that quote unquote healing medicine to do so. Lotus in the bog. It represents deep contemplation, which in turn gives rise to silent intention and conscious action. When you are stuck ruminating on the end result, step back and consider your beginning. I love that, because I think we are kind of getting sucked into past energy, especially as we're working out some of these past karmas right now. But there is this call to make sure that we're not getting stuck there, that we're not letting this play out, in real time, but not like ruminating and forcing the issue, or only fixating on this one thing. You're having space so you can start investing in yourself and what you want this new life, what you are becoming to look like. It is going to require strength to kind of detach from some of the energies that have been around you, but you got this. I like the energy as it's moving towards the end of the week. I love new moons, setting new intention, really kind of choosing to invest in ourselves so that we can give back to our life or just show up in the best kind of way. So, all right, thank you so much for your time, energy, always. I hope you enjoyed the reading. Definitely drop comments below if you found messages that resonated here. I love to hear, just say hey, share, and a little love, a little TLC, because I so appreciate all the love, all the support that you bring to the channel. Know that I'm sending it back your way.